Bartholomew Town, brought to you in part by the University of Rhode Island Online, Navigant Credit Union, Half Street Group, and Newport Film.
Bartholomew Town.
All right, so one of the centerpieces really right now and perhaps into the future will be Plant City. It's one of the centerpieces, I should say, of the 195 redistricting project and the innovation district as a whole. Plant City, it's a vegan restaurant marketplace. It's had a couple of different evolutions, and including a recent adaptation as well. As a vegan myself, I am there. I am familiar with the operation on a practical basis. Kim Anderson owns Plant City and joins us on the podcast this morning. Thanks so much for your time, Kim.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Let's kind of go through the history here of just sort of the executive summary of how you got involved in this business and how you ended up in the facility that you're at right now in the Innovation District.
Sure. My son graduated with an environmental studies degree and asked us as a family to get involved in climate tech impact investing, which we've been doing for about a decade. And part of that was recognizing that animal agriculture, depending on which white paper you use, contributes between 18 and 30% of global greenhouse gases. And that was shocking. We were not aware of that. And as environmental investors, we would have had to put our head pretty deep in the ground to ignore that.
Sure.
So that's, we went plant-based overnight, and we're looking for places to eat. And at that time, there weren't really anything in Rhode Island. And so we created Plant City. I did about 6 years ago. And never taken a penny or a played check from any Plant City. This is really my way to show the world what delicious food that's sustainable and compassionate can look like. And if it's delicious, then why not, right?
Yeah, well, there's no question about it. Veganism's interesting because there's a lot of different ways to get into it, or plant-based diets and a plant-based mindset. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. Obviously, there is a health component. Some people would dispute that. I've gone back and forth with people on whether or not adequate proteins can be met with a plant-based diet. It can be. I can guarantee that without any medical expertise. But I can say, as much as I know that the stars are real and the moon is real and so on and so forth, that plant-based diets are healthy. And then there's also, of course, the broader question of, you look at major questions of sustainability right now. And there's no doubt statistics here, statistics in Brazil, globally. A utopian future would almost certainly be entirely plant-based if we were being serious about it. So from an ethos standpoint, you get people who are vegan who will kind of down talk or talk down to those who are vegetarian or carnivore or whatever it may be. And that doesn't really work either. It's almost like it has to be a quasi-educational piece, but the main thing is that you have to show people that the food is not only good for the planet, but good for them, and it tastes good. How do you approach that? How do you approach that mindset?
Yeah, with a velvet hammer, we're not there to preach to anybody, and we take people where they are. And I would say a large majority of our guests, 70 to 80%, are not plant-based. They're just looking for delicious food in a really cool place served by cool people. And I think you would share that that's what we are. So I have these little postcards that say the 10 reasons why to go plant-based. And the top ones are always health, because people can really understand that. I speak a lot up at Brown, and the kids are amazing. I don't speak to them about health because 20-year-olds think they're going to live forever. I talk to them about the environment and the climate pieces. But for the majority of our guests, the health piece really matters. And as you're saying, Bill, the science is settled on that. Right? Come in and talk to me anytime. I'll give you a copy of Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die. And it really is the diet that's known and proven to prevent 11 of the 15 things that kill Americans, the other 3 or 4, suicide, murder, and accident. Yeah. So it also is the only diet scientifically proven to reverse type 2 diabetes and cardiac disease. So, I see hopefully that information being more widely shared in the population, so that more people, we have so many people coming just to kick the tires. And once they come once, I know they're coming back, because I can share, because it has nothing to do with me. Our executive chef is amazing, and our food is really, really good. So,
yeah, there's this weird usage of veganism to sort of, I don't know, sometimes I'll get, people will use it as an instrument to make fun of or say, well, you're obviously weak, or you're the beta male or something like this. Just it's a weird diatribe.
Well, and honestly, Bill, that's why I don't use the word vegan. It's got a lot of negative connotation. I'm just plant-based. I happen to be vegan. I dress vegan. I don't use leather, right? All that. But I use the word plant-based where it comes to diet, just because it's less threatening to people. When you say to eat vegan, it feels like a punch in the nose, like you're doing something wrong. Whereas if you say plant-based, it's like, come join me. There's delicious food, happens to be made with plants. A lot of people are wary of that word, and we just meet people where they are. And I'm happy to answer any questions for people. But, every immigrant that came to this country, which is all of us, unless you're Native American at some point, came here eating pretty much a vegetarian diet: rice, beans, potatoes, vegetables, and a little piece of meat if you could kill it or afford it. And unfortunately, we've really thrown that on its axis. And we have a lot of very sick people in Rhode Island. Lot of diabetes, a lot of type 2 diabetes and cardiac disease. And we can actually reverse that with a whole food plant-based diet. And we actually have 4 physicians that work out of Plant City called Plant Docs. And they will see patients for a month-long jump start. They do blood work, 3.5 weeks of a whole food plant-based diet and blood work, and show people how naturally through food we can reverse the markers for disease. And they've had so much success that they've written a white paper. It was just published in the beginning of the summer in the National Journal of Lifestyle Medicine, which is a highly regarded publication. And I'm excited to be a part of that, to offer them the space to share that program nationally. And hopefully we're working with Rhode Island Hospital to try to get more patients there eating plant-based with food as medicine. So we're a lot more than a restaurant. We're building a community.
Yeah, and I think one thing about this as well is that everyone has a different entry point. For me, I grew up in the woods here in Rhode Island, and I was surrounded by way more wild turkey, and down at the organic farm down the street, the pigs, I named them and so on and so forth. And by the time I was like 10 or 11 years old, I just couldn't even fathom the possibility of eating meat, and I became vegetarian very young. It was a huge uphill battle, constantly bullied for it. Constantly, up against it. It felt like I was some kind of outsider. And then moved to New York, and it was a lot easier during that period for 10 years to find vegetarianism. And it made it much more of an easier on-ramp for veganism. One day I was eating eggs, and I looked down and I was like, yeah, we're done with this. And just slowly but surely, a plant-based lifestyle where, now I'm fully opposed to zoos. I question fireworks because of the disruption that they cause, not only to sensory significantly sensory challenged individuals, but also for animals. So there's a whole diatribe we can go down here and so on and so forth. But just speaking in terms of food, I think the thing about Plant City that I really like is that it is that entry point. I see a lot of people that are friends of mine or family or whatever that go to Plant City and they go, oh, okay, this doesn't necessarily have to be this, like I don't have to move to a commune and like go off the grid to at least get into this world.
And that was the purpose of Plant City, right? I started a nonprofit in Rhode Island with a few women called Powered by Plants RI, and we would do monthly meetups. And I moved through showing movies, hundreds of people from eating animals mostly to eating plants. And they would all say the same thing to me. I feel weird with my family. I don't have a social life. I can't go out anymore. I could do this at home, but I can't go out. So that's, one of the reasons we started. But and wherever your on-ramp is, right? My on-ramp was health and environment, but understanding the ethics of animals and understanding how their lives are, and other pieces of it, like the social justice piece, Bill. The people that do this work of slaughtering 80 billion land animals a year didn't go to Brown and raise their hand, or PC or Bryant and say, yay, I want to work in a slaughterhouse. This is really in the deep recesses of the South from a minority population of immigrant and minorities. And they're mentally and physically ill from this, as are their communities. So it's interesting. I try to teach the whole full circle of the onion, peeling the layers, because there's so many different reasons why somebody would come to plant-based. For me, environment and health, if I ate one burger, would it change my health or the world's environment? Probably not. But for the things that I wasn't aware of in the beginning, animal ethics and the social justice issues, the people that have to do the work in their communities, I'm a hard stop no. but never any judgment about where somebody else is on that journey, because I was 52 before I knew any of this, right? It's about, as you said, the education piece. But really interesting, we have a lot of people that come to Plant City. The great example, and when we first opened, this woman is literally dragging her husband through the front door. And he looked at me when his eyes were like deers in a headlight, and he was like, "Dear God, help me." And I was like, "It's okay, buddy. Do you want pizza? Do you want pasta? Do you want burgers? Do you want?" Again, he kind of breathed and he goes, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well," and then I set him up with the most amazing lunch because I wanted to make sure he was happy. And he came looking for me when he left, and he said, "Oh my gosh, my wife's been nagging me to try this kind of a diet for a long time for my health. And I was thinking I'd have to eat lettuce and tofu for the rest of my life." And it's like, well,
Right.
we got great salads and great tofu if you want, but you don't have to. There's so many other things. And he's like, "I get it. I can do this now." So it's that awareness of what a plant-based diet actually looks like.
Right.
People
That's such a
are
huge
not
piece.
aware of that. So that's one of the reasons for our existence.
Bartholomew Town.
Are you ready to take the next step in your career? At URI Online, they offer business and leadership-focused programs designed to fit your life. Whether your goal is to advance your career in fields like public administration, supply chain management, or training and development, their online programs provide the flexibility you need with a high-quality education you deserve. Learn more from experienced faculty and collaborate with a network of professionals, all from the comfort of your home or wherever life takes you. Visit uri.edu/online to explore programs and start building your future today. URI Online. Learn anywhere with us. Newport Film is celebrating 15 years of outdoor documentary film screenings every Thursday through August 28th. New critically acclaimed documentaries curated from Sundance, South by Southwest, and Tribeca screen at ever-changing, iconic outdoor locations across Newport and Aquidneck Island. A beloved summer tradition. Pack your blanket and lawn chair. Arrive early for free popcorn, live music, and filmmaker conversations. Head to newportfilm.com for all details. As Rhode Island's first ever member-owned credit union, Navigant Credit Union has been a staple in the local business community for more than 108 years. Yeah. Today, Navigant is a $3.4 billion institution serving more than 136,000 members across 25 physical branch locations. But since its founding in 1915, the mission has never changed. Navigant Credit Union's team of financial professionals have remained committed to improving the financial well-being of the families, businesses, and communities they serve across Rhode Island. Learn more at navigantcu.org. Half Street Group brings a new generation's perspective to leadership communications, strategic public relations, and digital marketing. Half Street helps organizations and leaders take control of their own stories and manage their reputations. They get results for their clients by focusing on audience, message, and culture, and by leveraging their decade-long relationship with media and opinion leaders in the Ocean State and throughout New England. Join me and Half Street Group founder and president Mike Rea for a conversation every month about news of the day, the hottest media analysis, and a look behind the scenes at how impactful leaders drive conversations. Learn more at halfstreetgroup.com.
I completely agree with that. There's also the element of composting, and our landfill here in Rhode Island is, I mean, who knows where this is going to go in terms of it's basically close to tapped out.
Right.
It will be in all of our lifetimes. And then where do we go from there? Do we start trucking or rail or start blasting it into space? So talk about the composting piece and sort of the multi refuse approach that you take.
Yeah. So when you walk in the door of a Plant City, we're plant-based, we're palm oil free, we're certified kosher, we're compostable 100%, and we're wind or solar powered. There's not another restaurant in the world that we're aware of that's doing that much in sustainability piece. So the composting is really important. And I explain it this way. If you were to take a car and drive it straight up 13 miles, you hit the end of the atmosphere. That thin line around the planet is what protects life on this planet as we know it. And we're literally using it as our garbage dump. And it's all sitting in there. The carbon is nasty, but the methane is 85 times more potent than carbon. It doesn't have as long a shelf life. It doesn't last as long, but it's nasty while it's up there. That methane, a majority of that, obviously some comes from the earth, things like that. But the majority of that is compostable material, food scraps, animal agriculture, that they sit in the dump and give off methane. So at Plant City, every bit of our packaging goes into the compost bins. It goes a couple miles up the road, not far, And it's within 6 weeks, it's aerobically digested in a safe environment that does not release methane, and it's dirt in a ballpark or a field or a garden somewhere instead of sitting in a landfill off gassing methane for the next 100 years. So it's a massively important step for people to understand. And I think explaining the atmosphere and what that is, because people don't understand what that is, in a very simple term, makes it understandable. And we have to reduce that methane exposure. Eventually, hopefully a lot of R&D is going into actually removing some of those from carbon that's in the atmosphere, and how do we actually draw down on that? But that's going to be expensive. What we really need to do, the low-hanging fruit of hitting net zeros for corporations and businesses and schools, is plant-based food and composting, like severely reducing the methane that we're putting in the atmosphere. And so for me, that's kind of where it all started. And that's what's really important in the story of Plant City. If you've ever been to the Warwick Plant City, which is an old Burger King drive-through, which I love the whole reuse, recycle story, we have the first Ecotone Renewables single standing 20-foot half container sized closed loop compostable unit right on our campus. So we put the compost food scraps and the packaging directly in this machine, and out the end comes soil sauce in a matter of a few days, and that's sold as fertilizer, and it's a closed loop. The methane that's produced from the system powers the system, and none of it escapes. I mean, I'm trying to get those. Bryant already has one going for 2. Bryant University is the first university to have one in New England. We're trying to get them at Brown, in Barrington, other places. So if anybody's listening that's interested in that, we've got a really cool opportunity there to help teaching the schools and the kids what a reduction in the atmosphere they can make from methane just by composting.
One of the things that I've heard about from a lot of people, and I've seen with my own eyes, and look, I go there at least once a day, if not twice a day, and that is the walkway on the pedestrian bridge, and the situation with the bike lane. And look, I've heard directly from people that have said there's uncertainty as to why some businesses on South Water Street have wanted to see the bike lane removed and put onto the pedestrian area. As I understand it, you're one of those businesses. What's your take on the bike lane situation?
Look, we're environmentalists. We are environmental impact investors as well as philanthropy investors. We're working with Rhode Island Foundation on reducing climate. My husband's a cyclist, 100% in favor of the bike lanes. We just wanted it moved 8 feet into that massive park that I don't know how many acres it is, right? I think it would be safer there for the cars that open their door onto that bike lane, as well as for the bikers. We've had analysis of the amount of cars on that road. And by the city's own admission, there shouldn't be more than 600 an hour. And it regularly gets to more than 600 an hour. And it's now turned into a parking lot. So from one bridge to the next, there's 130 cars that can park on that road, on that one lane. And the parking hasn't decreased. It's pretty much the same, maybe a dozen or so. That's not the problem. The problem is with one lane, people won't pull over and they won't parallel park, especially if it's somebody over 50, 60, 70 that's uncomfortable with having somebody coming up your butt 30 miles an hour and you're dead stopped in the middle of the road. It takes 32 seconds for the average person to parallel park. So if you say we're turning it over 3 times, you've got on average 3.5 hours of complete stop on that road for somebody to try to parallel park or pull out. And it's a major thoroughfare to 195. So that just whole thing doesn't work. The city's done a nice job. They're looking at how to make it 1.5 lanes in some places so people can get around. And that involves not moving it. That's great. I just want what's safe, because certainly we want safe. And what works for the businesses to keep going. We've had a dramatic reduction in the amount of business since the bridge went down, and the parking hasn't helped because a lot of people will come through once, they'll look for a spot, they won't really stop, they feel uncomfortable with that, and then they'll just keep going. So, I think that there's a way that business and local business and key businesses and residents and bikers can all live in like happiness there. That's what we're looking for.
In terms of the Washington Bridge, I mean, we talk to businesses all the time that have anecdotal or statistical negative impact from the Washington Bridge.
Huge negative.
Are you satisfied with the state's management of this? Do you feel like not only from the standpoint, I mean, obviously not necessarily here to evaluate the infrastructure repairs, but by and large, do you feel like the governor's office, so on and so forth, have done a decent job in an economic impact understanding of the consequences of the bridge? And do you feel like there's a remedy that is perhaps not yet tested that could be deployed for businesses like yours and others?
I don't have enough information. I only know what the public knows. I'm not privy to any inside information. But, you look at Baltimore when they had their bridge come down and they put it back up in a matter of months. I feel, and I don't know this, I just feel that there's not an urgency because I don't have Plant City to make a living. I'm still in business, right? I'm there as a mission-driven business. I've never taken a paycheck or a penny, but there's a lot of hospitality businesses and restaurants that have gone out. I don't know, what do we lose by the city's own admission? $150 million in the first year just disappeared. Jobs disappearing, restaurants disappearing. It's terrible. I don't know the solution, but we need to get the bridge back. The good news is that it's better than it was in the beginning, but I think the bad news is a lot of people came up with other solutions and different habits and therefore just stopped coming, right? And so that's why I built a Plant City in Barrington. That whole East Bay stopped coming, the majority of it, unless they were coming to Providence for work anyway. So Barrington's been amazing. And we were talking about reuse, recycle. Warwick used to be a Burger King. Providence used to be a steakhouse and a strip club.
Yep.
And Barrington was this awful looking mall from the 1940s that we totally repurposed and redid. So now it's a highlight of looking nice in the town because I think that's important to reuse and recycle rather than rebuild, and to something to knock down and build up again and put all that stuff in a landfill. And so it's all in line with our sustainability piece.
Yeah. Well, you had the Middletown location. That was a challenging location. I patronized it, but it's a tough road for everybody out there in terms of, this is 138 that I think, well, not 114. It's 138. Yes. The western stretch there. It's a little bit of it's not super centrally located except for Middletown residents. But do you see yourself expanding to Newport writ large, South County, anywhere else at any time? Because there's a lot of people in those areas that probably want to get involved in what you're offering.
Yeah. So Middletown was interesting. We're always living and learning. Before COVID, the ADT, average daily traffic there, was pretty high, about the same where Warwick is. And then after COVID, it dramatically dropped. So a lot of those jobs went remote and the traffic reduced dramatically. So I was naive on that, live and learn. We gave it 3.5 years. We moved everything to Barrington, all the equipment, et cetera, and reopened there. And that's been very, very successful. I would love to franchise Plant City X and the smaller 3,000 square foot units. I won't do it myself. I would hire a team and let people invest and run it themselves. But the numbers are pretty good. If somebody took an existing restaurant and rebuilt it, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, worked it themselves, the numbers are showing that they could make a nice income, pay back that investment in a couple of years, and be, excuse the non-vegan term, a cash cow for many years to come if they pick the right location. So I would love to see that, because I think that would be the most rapid scale in the region and in the coast and around the country. I've had a lot of people who wanted to globally copy Plant City. And I signed an agreement with a group that brings American brands to Asia, that has brought Sweet Green, Shake Shack, Starbucks, and Cheesecake Factory to China, and wants to bring Plant City to China. We've been working on that for about 2 years. They want 40,000 square feet, which is 3 times the size, or 2.5 times the size of Providence. So it would need a very deep pocket, savvy, intelligent, local investor who wants to do that. They're looking at 5 cities, including Shanghai, Shenzhen, Macau, Hong Kong, Singapore. But, that's a big investment. I don't know if that will go, but it's encouraging that people around the world see this as an important step, and as Plant City a model for doing it.
Yeah, it aligns with so many of the United Nations sustainability goals as well, and those may be revised, and we may see more of a dire need for them. But I think there's a global appeal for sure. And we're seeing, look, as I've traveled, I've seen it's gone from, geez, I hope you don't mind eating, bread and fries in different countries and so on and so forth. So now it's like, oh, wow, there's, I'll go back to it again, Brazil, because I've spent a lot of time there. There's a lot of plant-based options.
Yes.
The awareness is emerging, and then the creativity is emerging. And when we say plant-based, we don't mean a restaurant that just throws cauliflower on a grill that's covered in the juice from meat. We're talking about dedicated, well curated, and isolated plant-based food.
Totally agree with you. We just came back from Ireland, and last year we were in Tokyo. Amazing options, hundreds of options, even in smaller cities and villages. So yeah. Actually, I would say more so in some of those places than in the United States. But there's a great app, as you are, I'm sure, aware, called Happy Cow. Put in the zip code, and it will tell you vegetarian and vegan friendly wherever you are. So yes, much more availability, and a lot of local restaurants, I think, opened because they saw Plant City being successful and said, "Okay, I've always wanted to do this. I think I can," and that's awesome. People would say to me, "Oh, Kim, it's competing with you." I don't look at it that way. I hope every restaurant competes with us and puts us, on the back burner. I don't care. This is really not about me. This is about a really important global initiative and issue that has to happen. So we do a lot of investing in plant-based foods, like the Beyond Meats, Impossible Burgers, Just Eggs, all of those things 9 and 10 years ago. And now we're investing, and have been for quite a bit, in cultured meat and cellular meat, because there's as we have a growing population, Bill, around the world, in Asia and India, the first thing they want is more animal protein. And we simply cannot buy ourselves out of this situation.
That's right.
So taking a sample from a cow and growing it in vats like beer is happening, and is actually being served on a plate in Singapore, the Netherlands, Israel, and San Francisco. More expensive, higher cuts of meat like Kobe beef and tuna and things like that. But coming down rapidly, and hopefully that will succeed, because we can't clear enough land to graze enough animals and keep destroying the atmosphere the way we are to supply the want for animal protein. It's just it's unsustainable as we are now, and certainly moving forward at a rapid pace.
Yeah, there's a lot of secondary problems as well that come from this. Wildfires are increasing. We're certainly seeing destruction in the Amazon, and we're certainly seeing it's an unsustainable practice, and anybody who disagrees with that, the data's there to back it up. We're not going to be able to do this for much longer in terms of cattle farming in particular.
Well, we'll heat up the planet so much. Actually, if we think immigration is a problem now, wait till the entire south of Africa and Central America and South America can't feed themselves. I mean, we have to do something. So one of the things you were mentioning, and I wanted to go back to it, was I'll think of it later. Sorry.
Oh, no problem at all.
Brain freeze.
Exactly. Well, I think,
I know what it was. Sorry. You were talking about the
Mm-hmm.
athletes and how you've taken a hit from people who were telling you weren't strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
Got to watch a movie called The Game Changers. Have you seen it yet?
I have.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody out there should see this movie. It's about how the top athletes in the world are eating a whole food plant-based diet for reduction of inflammation, longevity of career, increase in recuperation and performance. And, if you look at Venus Williams, Serena Williams, Tom Brady, Matthew Slater, Dietrich Wise Jr., Patriots, Bruins, NFL players, Ricky Davis, these guys they all come to Plant City because they have the information to understand what this kind of a diet does for them, and they're not lacking protein. Trust me, the entire defensive line of the Tennessee Titans, like the no-neck guys, comes to us when they play the Patriots, especially the 2 years ago when they won in the in the Pat over season Pat in the finals. And these guys ate so much food, but it's if you watch the movie The Game Changers, what's really cool is they've been able to show, if you measure the oils and the reduction of the pace of blood cells delivering oxygen to the muscles with meat, reduces some 35%. If you switch that, do a bean burrito with all these other great tofu and other things that give them protein, it actually increases the speed and opens up the veins to increase the speed of red cells and the oxygen to the muscles. Like, it's scientifically proven a big difference. So if you're looking for an increase in performance, this is the way you need to go. And I just got a call. 2 of the new kids coming in for PC Friars want to be eating more plant-based because they have access to that information.
Yes.
And I bet a lot of it's coming from that movie, The Game Changers.
Absolutely. And it's coming from a shift in mindset, and it's coming from that book, How to Learn Not to Die. And it's coming from just a general culture shift. A lot of this stuff is passé, and it's completely ridiculous to hear it. And I think I don't even address any of these naysayers anymore. But look, it's there for you if you want it. It's like any choice that you can make. That's the beauty of living a life with relative or total freedom. You can choose to be plant-based. There's an upside to it. Plant City's there for you. That's a great option. And Kim Anderson, thanks so much for your time.
Bill, it's my pleasure. I did not know that you were the guy that I see at Plant City all the time. So thank you for hanging out with us and supporting our team. We have over 100 employees at Plant City, and I may not take a paycheck, but they do, and they really do need the support. And they're really good people. We have a great team. So thanks, Bill.
Yeah, you do have a great team. I will say that as well. There's one of the draws is that some of the human beings in there are great to hang, and it's got that community vibe. And again, appreciate your time.
Thanks, Bill. My pleasure. Have a great day.
Bartholomew Town is a truly independent news organization, accredited by Lion, the leading consortium of independent news providers in the country. And we certainly thank our sponsors, Newport Film, the University of Rhode Island Online, Navigant Credit Union, Half Street Group, and many others who have helped sustain our journalism. And we also thank our listeners who have supported us at patreon.com/BartholomewTown, or you can click the little heart wherever you're listening right now. For as little as $3 per month, you too can help sustain independent journalism in Rhode Island.